Continuing on with foreign policy, we have to talk about what just happened with the United Nations Human Rights Council. So let's dive into this because this is very damning information about Israel. Here's what I got to say. The UN Human Rights Council finally has made a statement about their investigation into Israel's war crimes. They also made a statement about Hamas as well. I feel like this was their way of trying to say, look, we're being fair. We're talking about both sides. But even in that attempt, the allegations against Israel are very damning. And one thing that I want you to pay attention to is the word intent. Remember, what did we say about that word? When we look at the definition of genocide, the word intent is included in the definition. So based on the report from the UN Human Rights Council, they are saying that there was intent. Let's go ahead and bring in that clip here. Listen to this.
In relation to Israel's military operations and attacks in Gaza from 7th October, we conclude that Israeli authorities are responsible for war crimes, crimes against humanity, and violations of international humanitarian and human rights law, including extermination, intentionally directing attacks against civilians and civilian.
Pause. I wanted you to hear that part right there. This is the UN Human Rights Council saying that they are accusing Israel of extermination. Now, all this time we've been saying genocide. We've said, they're oppressing, they're occupying the Palestinian people. They are saying extermination. Exterminating the Palestinian people. They also mention the word intent, intentionally killing civilians. That is huge. I'll let her go on here.
Objects, murder or willful killing, using starvation as a method of war, forcible transfer, gender persecution targeting Palestinian men and boys, sexual and gender-based violence amounting to torture, and cruel or inhuman treatment.
Did you hear that part? Sexual violence, torture. Remember what we've been saying about the IDF. Every accusation is a confession, right? So I don't see Dana Bash and Debbie Wasserman Schultz. I don't see them having a conversation on CNN about Israel's war crimes. There is more.
Israel's total siege of the Gaza Strip has weaponized the provision of life-sustaining necessities for strategic and political gains, including through cutting off supplies of water, food, electricity, fuel, and other essential supplies, including humanitarian assistance. It constitutes collective punishment, disproportionately impacting pregnant women and persons with disabilities, and is causing grave harm to children, including starvation-related deaths.
Pregnant women and disabled people as well. They said that Israel is using starvation as a tool. So all of the claims that you hear from Israel that they said, well, Hamas, they're the ones looting the food. And luckily, we have had video footage on this channel to show you that no, it was Israel actually blocking the food, the aid from getting in to the people of Gaza. They were intentionally starving those people. So shout out to everybody on the ground, all the journalists that were on the ground in Gaza that were able to capture that footage, because otherwise it would just be our word against theirs, right?
We found that the immense numbers of civilian casualties in Gaza and widespread destruction of civilian objects and infrastructure were the inevitable result of an intentional strategy to cause maximum damage, disregarding the legal obligations of distinction, proportionality, and adequate precautions. Israel also forcibly transferred almost the entire population into small enclosures that are unsafe and uninhabitable. The deliberate use of heavy weapons with large destructive capacity in densely populated areas constitutes an intentional and direct attack on the civilian.
Okay, so I want to go in a little bit further here because, again, that is at Geneva. That is a damning statement from the UN Human Rights Council. Now, Nico had a way of, he's dove a little bit deeper into this. I wanted you to see this because also I think these hotspot videos are pretty based. Nico said an independent UN commission put out a damning report that has led the UN to conclude that Israel isn't just guilty of genocide, but also guilty of participating in the total extermination. And I think that's the word that has been heard around the world. Check this out.
A damning report put together by an independent UN commission to investigate the crimes of Israel that they've committed in Gaza since October 7th has somehow made Israel look more evil than we already know them to be. The report was put together by the Independent International Commission of Inquiry on the Occupied Palestinian Territory. Their goal in this particular report was to investigate potential human rights violations and war crimes potentially committed by both Israel and Palestinian, specifically Hamas militants. Their conclusion? The report concluded that Israel has been conducting a campaign of extermination against the Palestinian people. Yeah, you heard me correctly. This report concludes that Israel has graduated from genocide and has moved on to outright extermination. Now,
you guys know how huge that is? That's what I was saying. We have been using the word genocide, but they have now actually upgraded that word to extermination.
you know a Zionist is gonna be out there in my comment section somewhere saying, nah, they being hyperbolic. All right, let's look at the facts. First of all, it's important to note that the information I'm about to give you isn't even the full scope of the crimes committed by Israel, because the commission mostly focused on October 7th from December 31st, and we all know shit has gotten way worse since December. The report also says that even though we know there's a lot of traits that we can point to point out the uniqueness of the destruction being wreaked by Israel, the main one is the fact that 1.7 million Palestinians out of the 2 million living in Gaza have been displaced by this onslaught. They also point out that between 2005 and 2023, all of the fatalities from all the conflicts between Palestine and Israel only equal to 1/10 of the total fatalities that have taken place since October 7th.
But if you listen to mainstream media and you listen to them tell the story, they will make it seem like Israel is they have had the most destruction. They have had the most atrocities. I think all of us with a brain know that is not true. But this is what is really important. So now you get to see there is more evidence that shows you that mainstream media has been running cover for Israel. And that's just another way to let you know you cannot trust mainstream media. But now we have more information. And what's important is that this was an independent investigation. The number of times the State Department officials will tell you that they told us they're investigating that. They're looking into that, right? That is just like the police department investigating their own department. You have to have an outside, non-biased, independent investigation into these crimes. And that is the only way you get the results that we received here. Israel's not going to tell on itself.
Somehow Israel has also managed to increase the rate in which they specifically kill women and children in this conflict as compared to other conflicts in the past. They concluded that Israel even adjusted its targeting approach since October 7th. For example, on October 10th, an ISF spokesperson said that this situation we're in now, we even need to use different language and terminology. That same spokesperson said if there's even an inkling of intelligence, they attack. Israel's defense minister said, Gaza will never be the same. All restraints are off. We use everything. These statements obviously indicate that these leaders were more preoccupied with destroying Gaza rather than retaliating against Hamas or retrieving their hostages. Furthermore, despite the proportion of Hamas militants in a given area, allegedly, compared to the civilian population, and given the language use of Israel, like saying things like, they are embedded human shields, etc., etc. The commission concluded that this language was intentional and it was used to give the ISF blanket authorization to target civilian locations widely and indiscriminately.
There's that word again, intentional. Then you have to think about the fact that they were sent we were talking about the cluster bombs, the way that they were bombing the people. They basically took a large population, packed them into a more smaller, densely packed area than they were already in, where obviously if you're going to strike that area, civilians are going to be killed. That was all intentional. There are videos of IDF soldiers shooting dogs. I guess the dog is Hamas too, right?
The commission also found out that the Israeli government actually participated in violence against territories and Palestinian communities, specifically in the West Bank, where they killed 500 Palestinians since October 7th. Now, that might sound a little bit strange to you because we've been told that this is all about getting the hostages back and getting Hamas. And there is no Hamas in the West Bank.
There you go right there. I don't know, LaShondra, those dogs didn't do a damn thing. But listen to what he's saying here. Hamas is not in the West Bank, right? Hamas is in Gaza. Gaza is over here. The West Bank is over here right next to Jordan. So them targeting and killing hundreds of people, hundreds of Palestinians in the West Bank, there was no excuse for that, for them to say, well, they were just using them as human shields. Hamas is not in the West Bank. They know this. So that was another damning thing. We've been seeing this happen for quite some time, right? But Israel has not been held accountable. They have been able to behave this way because the US government defends them and backs them. And honestly, Western allies do too. But things have changed. Some of the Western allies are speaking out against Israel. That includes countries like Spain. I believe Norway also spoke out against them. So things have started to change. And eventually it got to the point where the United States and Israel are basically on an island by itself. Do you want to be on an island by yourself? Netanyahu made a statement and he said he doesn't care, even if it means if Israel stands alone, he is going to continue to do what he is doing. So at that point, I think it is best to let them stand alone. Israel doesn't need to have any allies anymore at this point. When you make a statement like that, you can stand by yourself. And when you make that statement, you have no right to get angry with the United States because there was a pause on sending you weapons. And this is the guy, listen to everything that came from this report. This is the war criminal that is coming to speak to Congress. The exterminator. That's what we're going to start calling him.
And the hostages are not there. So why is the Israeli government using October 7th to justify killing 500 Palestinians in a place that had nothing to do with Hamas, the hostages, or October 7th? So to be clear, when the UN chose to address Israel's actions as extermination, it wasn't hyperbole. It's extermination to such an extent that they ended up killing people in the West Bank that had nothing to do with the conflict in Gaza. And of course, this commission said that Israel was making their grandest attempt to block them from investigating the situation, which I find ironic because I distinctly remember Israel trying to bring every single influential and powerful Zionist they could find to come look at the proof of the crimes committed by Hamas on October 7th to justify the extermination that Israel is now participating in. But when it was time for them to get investigated, all of a sudden, no, I gotta go away, turn the cameras off, cameras off. Really, bro? If Israel truly felt justified in that they weren't committing war crimes, they wouldn't be trying so hard to hide the crimes that they're committing. But this independent report found that Israel is responsible for war crimes of murder, intentionally directing attacks against civilians, sexual violence, starvation, and many other crimes against humanity. So I guess if I was trying to justify genocide by playing victim and calling the other side barbaric, I guess I wouldn't want anybody to investigate me either if they're going to find out I'm actually guilty of everything I'm accusing my adversary of doing.
Always remember, every accusation is a confession.
Like Israel is doing right now. But that's just me. I don't know.
Follow Hotspot on Twitter. If you're not following Nico or my comrade Nick from RBN, make sure you follow them on Twitter as well. They put out these Hotspot banger videos. They're really good. I love these videos. But this is something I wanted you to see as well. This guy, if I believe correctly, is a former soldier. This is what he said about the atrocities that Israel has been committing. I thought this was a very passionate video, so I do want you to hear what he says. His name is Johnny UTD, and he said, I had to get this off my chest. Them Palestinian children with their heads and brains missing has me snapped. We'll listen to some of this, not the whole thing, but hear this.
Right, I have now fucking seen three Palestinian children with either their fucking heads missing or their brains missing. Children with their fucking heads missing. This isn't a conspiracy theory. This isn't fucking bullshit. This is not sensationalized headlines. This is real, actual footage of Palestinian children with their fucking heads missing. Understand that. This isn't a joke. Humanity needs to rise up. We need to fucking rise up and do something. Children with their heads are missing. It's crazy. It is crazy what is going on in Palestine. Children are getting decapitated, for fuck's sake. It's not a joke. You still get Zionists defending this shit. It's indefensible. Children with their heads missing. People gotta wake up. Fuck your ideologies and your fucking allegiances to religion or whatever it is. Where's your allegiance to truth? Where's your allegiance to children? Where's your allegiance to the preservation of human fucking life? When you're seeing kids with their heads missing, something's fucking going wrong. Something's going seriously wrong. It's barbaric. What Israel is doing is barbaric. They don't give a fuck about children's lives. I can't believe what I'm witnessing. The last 9 months that I've seen in Israel has changed me forever. What they've done to Palestinians is the biggest crime of humanity. It's disgusting. It makes me feel sick. It makes me feel guilty that I ain't done enough. People have got to rise up. We as a worldwide humanity, we need to rise up and do something more about this. It's got to stop. This tyranny, this slaughter against Palestinian people must stop. I can't believe I've seen 3 children with their heads or their brains missing. Not to mention all the dismembered bodies, all the bodies blown to bits, the fucking life-changing injuries, the psychological damage. All of this is going on every fucking day. We got told October 7th that heads were cut off. Lies, all lies. We got told people were raped. Lies, more lies. We got told babies were burned ovens. More lies. It's all lies. Lie after lie after lie to perpetuate the slaughter and the oppression of the Palestinian people. And I've had enough. I can't believe I had to witness little children like 4, 5, 6-year-old with their fucking heads missing. I don't care whether your allegiance to Allah, to Islam, to Judaism, or if I don't care. I don't care anymore. Where's your allegiance to the humanity? Where's your allegiance to suffering and to the truth?
Yeah, very powerful there, very powerful. And it's really disgusting to me. And this is why sometimes I can't be on Twitter for too much during the day, because to see some of the things that Zionists are saying, they don't care about those kids being killed, but just very disgusting, hateful, nasty things. And you have to be one cold person, you know, and just a hateful person to not care about a child. It's disgusting. But the UN Human Rights Council, very damning statement there. And I wonder what is going to happen from here. But one thing I will say, it does not look good for Israel. I don't think that Israel will ever be able to come back from this. I think that Israel's reputation is ruined.